Hi guys, this is a short video, but it's got some really important information, especially if you are using WinCC Client Server. Matter of fact, I am creating a video on how to set up WinCC Client Server, and I ran into this issue, and I kind of messed up. Let me explain. I am just going to go into this PC, right-click, and do Properties. The name of this PC is Desktop-V51U8R8B. And the problem with that is the dash. And dashes cause problems with client server. The documentation does not say this, but I know for a fact that it does. So let me just show you. If we go to the documentation, I am going to give you this link. They specifically say, in order for WinCC to work correctly, the final computer name must be assigned before WinCC is installed. And I forgot to do that. Well, they tell you not to change the computer name if you've already installed WinCC, but if you have and you absolutely have to, they will tell you there is a method to check whether or not the computer name has been changed, and they want you to download SQL Server Management Studio, and there's a test you can check to see whether the computer name has been changed, and if it has been changed, then they tell you they want you to reinstall SQL Server. Well, the good news is I have a method to not have to do this. You can very quickly change the computer name, and I am going to show you how to do that. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to show you this check that they're talking about. Now this is Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. I am connecting to the local SQL Server, and I'll just click connect. And I'm just going to open a new query window. Now, if you don't have SQL Server Management Studio installed, I'm going to give you a link to download it and install it. It's free. And also, if you are a student or want to take my WinCC database programming course on Udemy, we go through this procedure because we use SQL Server Management Studio quite a bit. And I am just going to paste in this procedure, and I'm going to explain. I'll hit execute. And the server name, this is a server variable, and it's the local server name, but it gets set when SQL Server is installed, and then it never changes. And then there is a server property, which does change anytime that you update the computer name. It does change. Now, right now, since these names are the same, then we don't really have a problem. So that's a tip. If you're setting up SQL Server and client server is not working for whatever reason, you can run this check. And if that computer name has been changed, you're going to have to do what I'm about to show you. And I'm going to go back and just in this Microsoft documentation, they tell you about the server name, and here's some very interesting remarks. It says, although the server name function and the server name property return strings with similar formats, the information can be different. The server name property automatically reports changes in the network of the computer. However, the server name doesn't. And if these are different, you need to go update these using SP add server or SP drop server. And I'm going to show you how to do that because I am going to change the computer name. So I am just going to close this, and I am going to shut down WinCC, and I will close WinCC Explorer. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this PC. I'm going to right click and do properties. Now, I would caution you against doing this on a production machine without running through it first offline, because if you make a mistake, you can bring down WinCC and maybe have a problem. So I would test this first. Now, here's our device name, and again, the dash here does represent a problem. And there are some illegal characters that they give you to kind of watch out for. If we go back to our link, you can look at the illegal characters for past versions as well as 8.0. And if you scroll down, you'll have computer names and, of course, commas, semicolons, exclamation points, underscore, but they do not list the dash. I have seen problems using the dash character, so I would definitely stay away from dash. Matter of fact, let's keep this one as simple as possible. But what I'm going to do is just hit rename this PC, and I like to be very simple, so I am just going to put in IQ Client, and you want to make sure you don't have any dashes or underscores. It also has to start with a letter. It's got to be 15 or less characters long, but I'm going to give this a new name, and I will just click next. So then it says, okay, you're going to restart, and the name will be changed to IQ Client. I'll hit restart now, and we're going to wait for it to reboot. Okay, so we have rebooted now, and you can see it has been renamed here. Okay, so that's good. And at this point, we could go into WinCC and locally the project would run fine. But you would have a problem if you were doing any kind of networking, especially where this is the server or a client. Next, what we're going to do is go back into SQL Server Management Studio. And notice that it defaults to the old server name, but the default username's got IQ Client in there. So if we tried to connect to desktop v whatever, it wouldn't work. But if we put in IQ Client, and we'll set our encryption to optional, hit connect. Okay, it does change this. And you can see now that the WinCC SQL Server database server is now IQ Client WinCC. But let's go back and do our test. I'll hit New Query, and I'm just going to paste in our query again and hit Execute. Now you can see that the name has been changed, and this is what causes a problem when you're trying to do client server. So let me show you how to fix it. So I'm just going to drop in this command here, and basically you're going to use the built-in stored procedure SP drop server, and you're going to drop your old server. So our old server name was desktop-v51u8r8 / WinCC. The new one is IQ Client. So basically we're going to be updating this at server name. So I am just going to execute this, and it says it was successful. Now if we go back and run this, you're going to see the local server name is still old, and that's because we're going to have to reboot. So let's go do that. I'll close down SQL Server Studio, and I'm just going to save this off. And we will just go and reboot the computer. Okay, so now we've rebooted, and I will bring up our SQL Server Management Studio. We'll open our last query, and I am just going to highlight this and hit execute, and now you can see that the local name has been updated. This will fix any problems with client server or other network related issues with WinCC. And we'll do a quick check of WinCC to make sure it's working. And of course, since we changed the computer name, the server name for the project is not going to be correct. So we'll hit Start Server locally, and the project will load, and we'll go to Computer. It still has the old name. I'll right click and do Properties, hit Use Local Computer Name, which is now IQ Client. And then I have to, of course, close the project and then reopen it. And then once the project reopens, I can just go to runtime to make sure everything's okay. And runtime comes up and looks like everything's okay. So I will be dropping a how to set up client server video later this week. And when I do, I will provide a link to this at the point that we check the computer name. So if this was useful, I would appreciate if you would subscribe, hit the like button on this video, share this with your colleagues, and consider joining the channel to allow me to keep bringing you this WinCC content. Thanks.